Hi everyone, my name is Igor and this is your English to Transform online and fabulous now. Folks, today category is arts and culture, museums, exhibitions, and artists around the world. So before we go on, I'd like to work with you on some pronunciation. So please repeat after me. We have culture, again, culture. Be careful not to say culture, that's culture, not culture. Again, culture, culture. After that, we have museums, museums, and exhibitions, exhibitions. Great. I'd like to ask you, what types of arts do you remember? Make a list. You stop this video, pause this video for a minute, and make a list of that, okay? Done. Time's up. I have some suggestions here for you. I was the painting. So here we have, please, painting, painting, sculpture, sculpture. Next, installation, installation, handicraft, handicraft, performance, performance, architecture, architecture, and photography, photography. Attention, because photography is the type of art, but the product, the result of the photography is a photograph or even a photo. Photograph, again, photograph or photos. So if you work with photography, you take photographs or you take photos, right? And what about LGBTQIA plus artists that you remember? Think of some. I also have some suggestions for you. So here we have Andy Warhol. Let's just repeat his name because it's a little bit tricky. We have Andy Warhol, Warhol, Andy Warhol. He is a visual artist, visual artist, and also a film director or a film producer. We also have Michelangelo, Michelangelo. He was a sculptor, a painter, an architect, and a poet. We have Wu-Tang, they, because let's use gender neutral language. Wu-Tang, they are a visual artist, a performer, and they are a filmmaker, filmmaker. We also have Annie Leibovitz, Annie Leibovitz. She's a photographer, photographer, and also Frida Kahlo, who was a painter. Cool. So where can you find their artworks? Of course, your first answer may be in museums, also art galleries, and why not in streets? Some panels, interventions, but as we have coronavirus, we have some other options and we can find their job online too. So sometimes you can find the artist's webpage, the website. So here we have Wu-Tang's website and you can navigate and find their artwork here. Cool. We may also have their Instagram profile. Annie Leibovitz gives us an example of that. She has her artworks all available, or most of them available, on her Instagram profile. And a very nice tool named Google Arts and Culture. Again, Google Arts and Culture. It's a very nice and free platform provided by Google.
These are the top results.
Oh, yeah, it's reading something here. And if you click on the magnifying lens, you may click, for example, you may select the name of the artist you want, Frida Kahlo, for instance, and you find her here. You have some information about her history and biography. some stories from other museums, and you find their artworks available here too. Cool. If you click on this menu on the left and come here to collections, you may find the permanent collections of several different museums. So if you click on Musée d'Orsay, for example, in Paris, we have some information about the museum, and you have the online exhibit. And if you go all the way down, you have some screens, some canvas, available there. And if you click on Explore, you may find a three-dimensional view of the museum with its architecture, and best of all, no tourists around you to bother. Nice. So next, I have some art and museum related vocabulary. Let's access Musée d'Orsay website. Oops. Nice. Here we have some very interesting vocabulary. We have admission fees. So please, admission fees or entrance fees. They are the money you need to pay to get your entrance tickets. So admission fees. We also may find a very good vocabulary and really necessary. Sometimes, right, some museums offer this that they call pay what you wish tickets. Again, pay what you wish tickets. So one day a week, usually, at a very determined time, they offer pay what you wish tickets. So if I have $100 to pay, I can pay $100. If I have $1, I can still enter the museum. On Whitney Museum of American Art, these tickets are available on Fridays, 7 to 9:30 p.m. If you go to the website of the MoMA, which is the Museum of American Art, of Modern Art, you have this permanent collection. Permanent collection, right? If you go to a very big museum, you may need the floor plan. Floor plan. This is the map of the museum's floors. So you can find it here on the floor plan. If you go to the National Gallery, you may find some free guided tours. Again, guided tours. In the National Gallery, these guided tours, they happen every day. So they are daily guided tours. The British Museum also offers them, but you may have audio guides. Audio guides. You have an equipment and you listen to the information about the museum. And the British Museum offers something very nice, an LGBTQ tour, where you find LGBTQ themes and history. Very interesting, right? And this museum here, let's just repeat the pronunciation in English, the Louvre Museum, Louvre. The Louvre Museum in Paris, France, you may find many masterpieces. Again, masterpieces. Masterpieces, they're artworks, but they are very famous and have very good quality. So artworks and masterpieces. Masterpieces. A very famous example of masterpieces, of a masterpiece, is this one here, where she, the Mona Lisa. It's a masterpiece and artwork, right? So just to recall everything, we have entrance and admission fees, pay what you wish tickets, permanent collection, floor plan, guided tours and audio guides, a masterpiece, and artwork. Very nice. So here I have some sentences for you, some different sentences to talk about art exhibitions and artists, but they have some gaps. And I have here some words that you may use to complete these sentences. So let's work on pronunciation. We have fan of, display, famous, famous, cup of, cup of, my eyes, art, my alley, my alley. So stop the video again and try to complete the sentences using these words here, okay? So we start the correction. What do you think of Warhol's art? Sculpture is not my cup of tea. I prefer more interactive artworks. I'm a big fan of photography. Drag performance is right up my alley. I just love it. Did you visit the Da Vinci's exhibition on display at the Miss Experience Museum? Frida Kahlo is famous for her self-portraits. The artwork is fantastic. It really caught my eyes. So in these sentences, we have some very interesting expressions that you may use to talk about arts, exhibitions, artists. The first one is, what do you think of Warhol's art? What do you think of Warhol's art? Next, sculpture is not my cup of tea. Again, is not my cup of tea. Sculpture is not my cup of tea. I prefer more interactive artworks. If something is not my cup of tea, I don't like it very much. And we have, I'm a big fan of photography. I'm a big fan of. If I'm a big fan of, needless to say, I love it. The same goes for is right up my alley. Is right up my alley. Drag performance is right up my alley. I just love it. And we have here, did you visit the Da Vinci's exhibition on display? An exhibition on display at the Miss Experience Museum. Next we have, Frida Kahlo is famous for her self-portraits. Is famous for her self-portraits. And if something really catches your eyes, you were like, ah. So the artwork is fantastic. It really caught my eyes. That's so interesting, right? This is what this expression means. And here I would like to know about your art tastes. So I'd like you to pause the video again and try to complete these sentences here with your information about art, art galleries, and museums that you've visited in your life. So use the expressions, I'm a big fan of, it's not my cup of tea, an exhibition, on display, something that caught my eyes, someone who's famous for something, and something that's right up your alley. I have some examples of sentences here. So, I'm a big fan of contemporary art. Handicraft is not my cup of tea. I prefer installation art. An exhibition by Silvio Meirelles was on display in my city last year. Van Gogh Art Gallery caught my eyes when I visited the Met Museum. Annie Leibovitz is famous for her iconic photos. And her art is right up my alley. I love it. Very nice. Let's just pay attention to one thing. Annie Leibovitz is famous for her iconic photos. But Annie Leibovitz is famous for taking iconic photos of celebrity. So someone may be famous for something, but when it comes for an action, an activity that makes them famous, we use a verb, and after is famous for, we need to use the ing form. So Annie Leibovitz is famous for taking iconic photos of celebrities. So someone can be famous for something, a fact, their art, or for an action. It means a verb in the ing form. So someone can be famous for working, painting, and performing, right? So your homework, I'd like you to access one of the online collections available at museums around the globe. and I'd like you to, I have some links below here in the description of this video. And I'd like you to visit the exhibitions, online exhibitions, and use your vocabulary, the new vocabulary learned in this video, to express your opinions and impressions about the artworks, masterpieces that you find there, right? So this was your lesson for today. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time. Bye!